over China, you see this range of instruments. They all look the same, but some are wider, some are more narrow. They have a different amount of strings. And it first originated in the warring period of China, about 771 to 221 BC. It was popularized during the Qin dynasty in China. In the beginning, we have 5 notes. The tone was a lot softer and it's harder to bend. The wood has always been paulownia wood. For the baseboard, right here, the sound chamber, they use paulownia wood. Over the dynasties, they changed it from 5 strings to 12 strings. Later on, it evolved to 14 and 15 strings. For a while, China was very war-torn, and a lot of the traditional music was disappearing. But later, it's brought back, and towards the 1960s, they developed the instrument a little bit more. And then you get the 16 strings, 18 strings, and you have 21 string, 23 string, and up through, for common use, up through 26 strings. A lot of the contemporary music still takes a lot of the folk flavor or even the folk melody and brings it to a new area, a new level. Towards the mid-19th century, the gu-zheng musicians did a lot more to turn this instrument into more of a solo instrument. They developed a lot more techniques, a lot more new techniques, instead of just, you see the right hand, as I've been doing this side, left hand on this side, doing the bending, the vibrato. They bring it over and the left hand plays chords. So they have arpeggios, and then have bass. So they have a lot of accompaniment and a second, a third supporting parts to accompany their melody. So you have this full structure in their music, not just a simple melody line. In China, there's people starting music at any ages. People don't just take it up as a hobby, but as a lifelong career, their profession. But because of that, they also have a lot of private lessons, and that's how I learned, is private lesson. In the past, a lot of the music is taught orally and visually. So although we do have our own music and our own way of writing the music, we don't use the grand staff, we use simplified music. In the past, they didn't really just say, okay, here's the music, read from it, okay, and then go from there. The teacher plays a phrase, and then the student listens and then, I guess you could say, mimic the teacher or repeats after the teacher. And that's the way I actually was taught, through this playing and repetition. Henan is neighboring Shandong, so although they share very similar dialects, a similar language, and because they're next door, there's a lot of similarities in their culture. Their music does have a noticeable difference. The bending in their music for gu-zheng, and I talk a lot about bending when I differentiate between different school or different styles of music, because the specialty of gu-zheng is mainly because of the left hand, the bending. It can produce so many different variations. For Henan is a little bit more smooth, less harsh than Shandong music, and there's a more, you can hear a little bit more of the microtones in the bending. And for their music, when it's happy, when it's joyous, it can stir up your heart. It just lifts you up. When it's sad, it played well, it can make you cry. My teacher means the world to me. She started off as my teacher, and then she became my godmother. She's taught me to explore, and she showed me what I need to be able to create a very meaningful journey. I started when I was about 4.5 years old, and she tells the story a lot better because she remembers it a lot better than me. However, she said that I saw her play on stage, and immediately I wanted to learn, right then, on the stage. And I don't know if that was me wanting so much to learn, but if you've ever seen her perform, you can't blame me for feeling that way, because she really puts herself into her music. It doesn't matter if there's one person, if there's no person, if there's maybe a baseball stadium filled with people. Her music is her own. And I don't think there's ever a moment that she is not indulged in her music. This is Ke-jia style. Ke-jia is a name of a group of people that fled from northern parts of China to the southeast areas of China and Asia during the conquering of Mongolians. So they escaped from Genghis Khan. Ke-jia in Chinese means guest and home. So they're kind of, I guess you can call them like nomads. So they immigrated from other parts of China and brought along their culture, their traditions to other parts. And so you hear their own music as well as styles and tastes of wherever they ended up relocating. The next piece that I'm going to share is called High Mountain Flowing Stream. Now there's a lot of different versions of this piece with the same name because it comes from different areas of China. The area that I'm going to share with you now is Shandong province. This piece really shares and shows the specific gu-zheng style for that region in China. The bending, the tones on the left-hand side is not as smooth, it's a lot more straight and quick and even harsher than a lot of other styles in other regions of China. You can really feel, especially through their folk music, the life and the enthusiasm in their pieces. My teacher showed me and opened my eyes, my heart, my ears, my passion towards Chinese music. People compliment her and tell her that, wow, when you play, you cannot separate you, the artist, from the instrument. And as she has expressed to me, that is really the highest compliment that anybody's ever paid to her. In many ways, this to me, this instrument through my whole life is much more important than anything, than many things in this planet, because this represented who I am, where I came from, my heritage, my culture. It taught me a lot more about myself. And because my teacher really encouraged me not just to be a music student, but she encouraged me to be a musician, an artist. I always remember her words. She might not think so, but I do. It doesn't matter how many pieces you learn. It's whether or not you can play one piece very well. I don't just want to play music. I want, and in a way, this might sound funny, I want to become the music. I want the music to be me, and vice versa. The gu-zheng is, first of all, tuned to the pentatonic scale. Pentatonic, for maybe those out there may not be too familiar, mean 5-tone. Okay, the 5 tones, the 5 notes on the scale for all the octaves are tuned the same way. And the major tuning, we do most of it is on the bridges. These are movable bridges that go left and right. The further right, the higher the pitch. The further left, the lower the pitch. And occasionally you get string breakage, or maybe you need to tighten your strings. So there's pegs, just like if you were to open up a piano, and you would have these pegs sticking out, and then you can tighten the string and loosen it through this box right here. So that's where we would do maybe tightening and loosening of the string, changing the strings. Most of the time, we use these bridges and we can move it back and forth right here. When I play my music, the first thing is not to feel anything, to be calm. As the piece goes on, it really just takes over. More intense, the theme, the music, probably the faster I can feel my heart pounding inside. I feel the intensity of the music. When it's a sadder, more calm piece, I'm feeling a lot more serene, more deep, and overall, it's tranquil.